Hello and welcome once again to all of my brilliant students. This is the very first mini lesson in a series that I'm going to be doing, and our mini lesson today is going to be going over allegory. So what is an allegory, you might ask? Well, an allegory is a story that has, get this, it is not one, it is actually two different meanings. So the first meaning is going to be pretty easy to identify. There is the surface meaning, and that's the stuff with the plots and the characters and the settings and everything that we've talked about up until this point. It's the things that you can analyze, that you can say, aha, here, right here, we can see that this is what these are what the characters are, or this is what the setting is, and so on and so forth. But allegories are used by authors to give you a second meaning. That is a symbolic meaning. So all that stuff that's on the surface, characters and plots and whatnot, all of those things actually represent something that is underneath. Allegories can be political, religious, they can be historical or philosophical, and they can be a lot more. And they're like this one big extended metaphor. So let's talk about some examples real quick. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is a religious allegory by C.S. Lewis, and maybe you're familiar with it by reading it at some point or having watched the movies. In it, C.S. Lewis uses the lion Aslan as a symbol for Christ and Edmund as a symbol for Judas or Peter, someone who betrays Aslan or Jesus in this case, right? And the person who is tempting Edmund is the actual character, the White Witch, but allegorically, she actually represents Satan or temptation, right? And so therefore you can see that there is this big religious allegory that is woven throughout the entire story itself. In the same way, you might also be familiar with Animal Farm. This is a book by George Orwell, and this is actually a historical and political allegory that represents the rise of the Communist Party. Sure, it takes place on a barnyard farm, that's the literal setting, but each animal and character actually represents an entire segment of the citizenry during the communist rise. For example, you have the pigs who represent the communist leaders. You have the dogs who represent their loyal hounds or the communist police, right? Or the KGB. You also have characters like the donkey, who is wise to all of the things that the pigs are doing, and so he philosophically complains about it, but he doesn't actually do anything. And so he represents the intelligentsia within the rise of the Communist Party in Russia, who knew that this was going to be a bad thing, saw the philosophical implications of it, but they just sat on their hands throughout the entire book, or, I'm sorry, in this case, the entire history of the Russian Communist Party, right? So you see how that's an allegory in and of itself. So what's the big deal with allegory? Well, allegories are used as tools by authors to convey these multiple meanings and themes throughout a single story. And for example, I want you to read The Navigators by Mike McGinnis. No, there's not going to be a grade that is attached to it. It'll all be just for bonus. But in it, a father and son play a video game, and that video game is more than just a video game. Yes, it is a video game, objectively. That is the surface meaning, but there's a symbolic meaning too. The map on the wall isn't just a map on the wall. There's a symbolic or secondary meaning underneath that. They are allegories that reflect a truth about the lives of the characters. And I would like you to tell me what it is. I have the utmost confidence in you, my brilliant students. I hope you understand a little bit more about what allegory is and why an author would use it, and maybe you'll use it in your own writing sometime. Good luck to you and have a wonderful day, and don't stop learning.